well, this is a cloudy morning at the clearing. Our first plant today is common mullein, a plant that many people know, also called moth mullein, and about 20 other things, one of them being flannel plant because of the flannel-like appearance and feel of the leaves, apparently. It can get really tall. This one is all of 6 feet tall. It's a biennial. The first year it just grows a rosette of these velvety, thick velvety leaves at the base, and they stay green all winter. They're so thick and covered with hair that they don't dry out, so they stay green all winter. And then in year 2 they shoot up this tall, anywhere from 2-3 to, in this case, 6 feet tall stem with leaves, these great big velvety leaves part of the way up, and then this big candle-like spike of flower buds, and you'll have these intermittent flowers over the whole course of the spike, these pretty yellow 5-petaled flowers. And then this dries out, this dies at the end of the season, and this thing will stand for a year or two yet in some cases. People will actually take these dried canes, essentially, strip off all the leaves with a gloved hand against the grain, let them dry some more, put varnish on it, and make a walking stick out of it. We used to sell these in the bookstore. It's a weed, a non-native weed, and can be weedy. Again, something in your garden or landscape planting, you probably pull it out. But it's become a real favorite with people because it's so stunning and can get so tall, and it's pretty, but not a native. So common mullein or moth mullein. We're right in front of the lodge, right near the entrance to the lodge, and looking at Dwarf Bush Honeysuckle, also called Northern Bush Honeysuckle. Not a honeysuckle, it's a bush honeysuckle, all one word. Same family, but not a honeysuckle. Doesn't form the berries that a honeysuckle forms. This is a nice native plant, gets 2 to 3 feet tall like they are here. And here it is in flower, these kind of loose clusters of a few interesting yellow flowers. I wouldn't call it a really showy flowering plant, but it's interesting. It has a large opposite leaves. All plants in the honeysuckle family have opposite leaves. Big, turn often a nice yellowish, even with some hints of red in the fall. It makes a nice massing shrub as a landscape plant. Natively, it is often seen in sunnier areas right along the edge of the Niagara Escarpment. So a really nice native plant. It gets a bad rap because it has the word honeysuckle in it, and in the invasive world, honeysuckle equals bad for most people. But this is a native plant, not a honeysuckle, but a bush honeysuckle, dwarf bush honeysuckle. As you can maybe see and or hear, it started to rain, but we're gonna soldier on. Eric's making me actually. And we're looking here at one of, half a dozen or so native goldenrods in Door County. This is the most common one by far. This is Canada goldenrod with these beautiful loose plumes of yellow flowers. Goldenrods are always yellow. This one gets to be about 3 feet tall, as these are right here. Narrow, lance-shaped leaves. Often, and I'm looking but I'm not seeing one, you'll see a round gall on the stem, about ½ an inch to maybe even up to an inch in diameter. And at a certain time, I'm not a fisherman, so I'm not sure when that time is, but at a certain time you can harvest those galls, cut them open, and take the grub that's inside there, and people use it as fishing bait, apparently. The bad rap that goldenrods get is for causing hay fever, which is not the case. They do not cause hay fever. Ragweed is the main culprit on that, and ragweed blooms at the same time, but it has real inconspicuous flowers. You don't notice them, and what you really notice this time of year, late summer, early fall, is goldenrod. in bloom everywhere. So people assume it's the goldenrod that's causing their hay fever. Goldenrod pollen is not carried in the wind. It's bee pollinated, so this cannot be what causes people's hay fever. But a lot of it gets cut down and pulled out because people assume it is the culprit. Anyway, our most common goldenrod in Door County, Canada goldenrod. Well, this is the last of the 5 native ferns at the clearing. This is Bulblet, B-U-L-B-L-E-T, Bulblet Fern. Some people call it bladder fern too, or one of the bladder ferns. So far we've had maidenhair fern, ostrich fern, lady fern, and bracken fern, and here's Bulblet Fern. And this is the lowest growing one, and really the most delicate. Very soft, fine textured, kind of lacy, kind of fairly long frond, but real narrow, wider at the base, coming to a point. And this is one that likes rocky soils, outcroppings, rock outcroppings. It likes the Niagara Escarpment, and here it is growing up on the second old ancient beach ridge from the shoreline at the clearing. Kind of on an outcropping a little bit further west from here. So this is an ideal habitat. Likes, not dense shade, kind of open shade like this, but a really nice, delicate, soft fern, only about a foot tall. And not many people know this one. In fact, I didn't know it. For years after I came here, I kept wondering what fern that was down in the schoolhouse path, and I finally asked Nancy Ayton, who's our consulting landscape architect, and she knew what it was. So, but I've always liked it. Bulblet Fern. Okay, our last plant on this rainy morning is Pennsylvania Sedge. Canada goldenrod is by far the most common goldenrod around here. Pennsylvania sedge is by far the most common sedge. And here we are in the woods behind or east of the Players Green, where there's a big area of sedge. You can get just an idea right here how it spreads. People think it's a grass, but grass doesn't grow, at least most grass doesn't grow in the shade like this. Sedges do. And Pennsylvania sedge is this low growing, maybe up to 8-10 inches tall, kind of loose, vase-shaped cluster of stems, of blades. And it's just very soft and tolerates shade very well, tolerates dry soil very well, and it forms these large colonies. You can't see it very well in here, but all around me, it's spread out into a huge area of Pennsylvania sedge. It's probably 20 yards deep and 20 yards side to side. So it forms these large colonies. Sedges, again, they look like grasses to most people, but they're different. If you get down to the base of one and pull out a clump of blades, you'll see that the very base of it is angled. They say sedges have edges. If you do that with a grass and do that between your fingers, it's round. It just goes round and round. So grass stems at the base are round, and sedge stems at the base are angled. So sedges have edges. So this is just a wonderful woodland plant, Pennsylvania sedge.